Peace and love, dumelang abshin. I'm Vukulu Sizwe Maphindani. And I want us to talk about psychological warfare in South Africa specifically. So this topic was inspired by a sister from Black Centric Forum, Soweto chapter, who told me about a program on Uyajola 99. So she told me how degrading the program was and so forth. So I took my time to actually look more into detail around the entire concept of media. I've always talked about this. So, okay, well, I might do plus minus 10 to 30 minutes, between 10 to 30 minutes. Please bear with me. So quickly, what is psychological warfare? Now, I know it might sound like a loose term, but in all forms of wars, there's no powerful than psychological warfare. So people who have studied public relations will actually understand much better what this is. So let's say perception. I'll try to simplify it. Psychological warfare is inspiring people's perception, being able to control the target audience's capacity to reason, and also be able to influence their belief system, their value system, and their cultural system. So I think that is simplified. So I will actually talk in psychological warfare. I'll look at how the media television is the mastermind behind the entire project, and also specifically the television. And then we're going to look into the educational system. Okay, so now, if you had something to write down, you'll write down right now. I'm going to mention these particular movies. This is the genesis of the discussion. Number 1, Jerusalem. 2, Tsotsi. 3, Hijack Stories. 4, Paradise Store. 5, I've got Jerusalem, I've got Tsotsi, I've got Hijack Stories, I've got Paradise Store, and then I've got the series Yizo Yizo, I've got the series Chovicho. This is the genesis. And within the television system and the specific concept I've already, the TV concept I've already mentioned, they are also the genesis in this entire psychological war waged against black life. Now listen to the synonyms, right? This is the word inscribed through what I've already mentioned. Jerusalem, Tsotsi, Hijack Stories, Paradise Store, Yizo Yizo Chovicho. Listen to this word. Tech. Look this. Tech. Who do you remember when I do that? Tech when I swear. Who do you remember? Now, I want to tell you the word futsek is a Dutch word. Dutch means Africans. This is African people are Dutch people. The word futsek is their word, and it's called Tsotsi. Did you know the word futsek was used for Tsotsi? So when we were growing up, as much as that word, at first it was used by those African racists whom whenever they're disagreeing with their slaves, they say, hey, move away, you know. And now, when we grew up, we're using this to dogs. We'll call our dogs, hey, when we want the dog to run away. But look at what the character called Nongoloza from Generation and how we've characterized it. Hey, tech! Now, it becomes inscribed in our public consciousness, and we then subconsciously participate in our degradation, self-negation, resulting into self-destruction. If you can say to a person, you already know that you can only tell a dog to futsek, but now your own mom can say futsek. So it becomes our normal language. But listen to this, Tsotsi tal. The word taal is a Dutch, the Dutch word. It means language. So Tsotsi tal, which means Tsotsi language. It's a psychological mechanism. It's a psychological weapon. Now, whilst still on the very same concepts, this is the very preliminary concept. We talk about Jerusalema. In Jerusalema, you've got black people involved in drug dealing. And I'm talking about all of this. None of them is produced and directed by a black person. Except for Yizo Yizo, where Angus Gibson works hand in hand with Tebogo Mahlatse, you know. But if you look into Jerusalem, what's happening there? Black people doing drugs. Next. And then in Jerusalem, is it Jerusalem? You know, you see a young struggling in the form of Sipemo, a young struggling person who actually, the same thing that Tupac said. It is music. He looks for help elsewhere, he cannot find it. And the next or nearest person to spot him is a drug dealer. And they become involved, not even a drug dealer, actually a criminal, thief, robber. Now, these are synonyms. There are many similarities in these movies. You go into Tsotsi. You know what I've realized? I've realized that when I watched the Tsotsi movie in 2005 in a cassette, this boy was a thief, a killer, a Tsotsi, a criminal. But there's something that I felt like was some psychological abuse. At the end, Tsotsi is now coming back to his senses and repenting. What happens? He takes a baby back to where he took the baby from, stole the baby from. And when they shoot at him, somehow, I don't know whether it was me only, I sympathize more with Tsotsi more than the entire, all the people who have fallen victim of his crimes. So now, but the number one element in Tsotsi, black people are criminals, robbers as well. Produced by who? White people. I'm not sure whether it was Gavin Hood. Now you've got to hijack stories. What did black people do there? Jerusalem, they were thieves, stealing, and also fighting with drug dealers. 2, Tsotsis, they were thieves as well. 3, hijack stories, they were hijacking cars. And then 4, Paradise Stop, still, there were crimes involved. But in Paradise Stop, you look into Raplana Sipemo's life. In his family, there's dysfunctionality. He's scared of his woman. So you're looking into the element of the black family dysfunctionality. So they are using the black family. Do you know what they're doing? Do you remember this thing of saying charity begins at home? White. And when I say whites, I'm not talking about those who maybe mean well. I'm talking about whites, those who are specifically involved in the project of psychology, of dehumanization, colonization, and so forth. They understand that the family, we normally say the family. When you say revolution begins at home, charity begins at home. A family, I'll tell you at a later stage. Let's deal with this. And how a family is a revolution. Revolution begins in the family. Dysfunctionality in the black community must start with with a family, with one family. If everyone else comes from a dysfunctional family, they become dysfunctional in the entire community. So what does that do? Anyway, quickly, that's why we cannot unite as black people. Now, you look into what's this? It's Paradise Stop, it's Jerusalem, it's Tsotsi. It's Yizo Yizo. Actually, I was at the Daily Theater when I talked about Yizo Yizo and how it's used as a psychological object. Look, main criminal activities are already covered. Covered in Tsotsi, black people are thieves there. Complete thieves, and they kill. Jerusalem covers black drug dealers and also thieves too. But you've got drug dealing, you've got thievery, hijack stories, you've got people who hijack people's cars, and then you've got Paradise Stop, it inculcates both. But, and also the element of black family dysfunctionality. And now you've got Yizo Yizo. And Yizo Yizo, what do? Glorify prison. When you glorify prison, make black people believe that when they go to prison, when they come out, they gotta be respected. People respect People coming from prison in most black communities more than people coming from the university having degrees. In fact, even if you can build wealth, listen to this, you can never be respected in the black community. You build wealth, you come with your big car, you build a double story. You know what they'll say? You think it's better than us these days. We want to show him. And indeed, you become victim of people breaking into your home all the time. They don't respect you. Even when you speak like, come on, is this, no, it's this money. You're saying nothing. So anyway, now you go into Jovicho. Before we come to reality TV, I want you to understand. This was the foundation. This was the foundational state. Jovicho was advertised 3 months in advance before it was screened. 3 months in advance. Jovicho was advertised every day. New drama coming. New drama. No other drama have ever been advertised like that. Because they were going to move into the second phase of psychological manipulation in the form of reality TV. So, after, and let's look at generations, things like generations as well, before we go to reality TV. Tell me any soapy that is by black people and tell me if there's anyone with a proper functional family, including the chief in Muvango. It's dysfunctional family. You look into generations, who is having a proper functioning family? It's dysfunctionality. You look Uzalo, there's hijacking. In fact, in Uzalo, it's a combination of Chovicho, a combination of Yizo Yizo, a combination of hijack stories, a combination of Jerusalema. Everything is in there. It's even worse. And they're doing this on a day-to-day basis. Now, and then now you look into, once this is done, the black family that's functional. I don't watch Scandal. Maybe the last time I watched this, that thing was in 2006. But I'm telling you, Scandal and Muvango is the same word. Why is it acceptable? It means it can only make sense when people are fighting up to some. Because Scandal, that's exactly what's going to happen. Muvango, that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't know about generations. Of course, the Taos that time, there was intergenerational wealth of the Moroccans. But that is bullshit. You don't see any other intergenerational anything. Now, you talk about Rhythm City. I don't watch it. But I'm telling you, black family dysfunctionality. Skim Sam, black family dysfunctionality. Families are always fighting within themselves. Now, once all that is done, so a white man, those is what we call. Do you know in that process? Actually, they were using. If you've done business, you know that there's a concept called mystery shopping. So in mystery shopping, you work for ShopRite, but you're going to shop at Pick and Pay. When you shop there, you look at what is their pricing like. What is in their new product category? What is in their fridge? What exactly is it that is making them more competitive? Then they go back, say, ShopRite, this is what Pick and Pay is doing and doing. Let's run a sale. Let's run a special. Let's do this. Now, so this is what's before the reality show era. In newspaper reporting, headline, Siphiwe Tshabalala have beaten his girlfriend. Katlego Mphele have stabbed a woman from a club. And do you know what they do? Do you know why they do that? Oh, okay. We reported about Siphiwe Tshabalala. Let's see what Siphiwe will do. Siphiwe Tshabalala, no. He says nothing. Does not complain. Does not take newspapers to the press ombudsman. He does nothing. He just explains his position using the same newspaper. Oh my goodness. Do you know what they'll do when they report? They'll say we have reached out for commentary. At that time it was unavailable, but they publish it and it's against it. So they realize, okay, well, more can be done. But let me warn you, before I go to the second phase. Psychological warfare is an indication of war. Before Adolf Hitler could exterminate the Jews. Not exterminate. Because he was trying to exterminate them. The first thing he did for the whole year to convince the entire Germans that the Jews were evil, every TV programming was aimed at the castration of the psychological reasoning that they had. So remember, psychological warfare, you influence the reasoning. You influence people's belief system. You influence people's perceptions, people's culture, and how they look at the world. And then you influence people's perception and reasoning through the educational system. Anyway, the second phase within reality TV show. Now you come into so reality TV show. They've already seen that you can write whatever you want about black people. Nothing they'll do. That's degradation. So already in your thinking, you see these things happening. They are normal. So let me tell you something. Another thing which is critical. I've seen people angry breaking stuff on television the first time. And when I was in my back in the day, and then I was in my that life, and I became married, I started breaking things. I've never seen anything else. My mother never broke stuff. She would be mad. My father never did that. We break stuff. Where did we see that from? Anyway, now, so they realized that we need to do what you call reality TV. Utatako. Now, I want to talk to the feminist woman. The feminist woman. Utatako is the degradation of the black subject.